Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. Let's go. So straight away to the interesting news which are happening in the Kursk direction. It was a successful Ukrainian offensive operation. I hope you can see this region over here, not far away from Ruzzian, and there Ukraine took lots of the territories, including 3 of the villages. The village of Kalmakov, Cherkasskaya Konopelka and Fanseevka. And you know what? Russians didn't expect that move. Yeah, the deep state military map doesn't give us this update because they have 2 days delay at least, just not to uncover all of the information, but from the other sources we understand that Ukraine is really successful. In a way, this Ukrainian attack was more successful than the attempt for Ukrainian army to go to Большое Солдатское. It happened roughly 1 month ago. There Ukraine moved to the small village of Berdin and stopped just near it. But in Suja direction, just in a matter of 24 hours, Ukraine gained those kind of the territories with 3 of the villages. Awesome. The Russian High Military Command was so dissatisfied with what is happening in the Kursk with the Russian defense that yesterday they've dismissed the commander of 11th Brigade, which was responsible for the defense of particular area. The guy's name is Pavel Filatiev, so he is no longer a commander. Russian military bloggers also confirmed the Ukrainian army movement, and Ukraine gained some of the even more territories compared to what we see from the independent analytics. It means that Russians are quite pessimistic. And this video Russian conscripts filmed in the Kursk region. They're located not far away from the area where Ukraine is assaulting on. Just look at the guy. How old is he? Probably 18 years old, 19 maximum. And they show the update, so their location and the Ukrainian army is moving towards them. It means that Russians continue to use their conscripts in the war. Yes, on the Russian territory, but still.
У наших соседей пошла волна контрнаступления противника. Хочу отметить, что в направлении Черкасской Конопельки, Уланка никогда спецназ Ахмат не стоял. Противник, видать, понял, что на участке, где мы стоим, ему все равно ловить нечего, и пошел, получается, вниз.
So for Abti Aldinov, the commander of the Ahmad battalion, this attack is happening somewhere, in the positions where the Ahmad battalion is not located. It seems like Ahmad is really a stationary army. How many square meters or feet they protect? Then there was the very start of the Kursk operation the last summer. Abti Aludinov also said the same stuff, that the Ukrainian army bypassed Ahmad battalion. Ukrainians understood that we are so robust that it's just useless to attack us, and here he stated the same stuff. He even called the brigades from the Russian army which fight now against Ukraine in Kursk our neighbors, so we're not with them. My friends, this guy is so hilarious. And Ahmad, yeah, remember the case then Prigozhin went to Rostov, then to Moscow, and how Ahmad battalion representatives were going to Rostov very slowly. They even stuck in a traffic jam. Maybe Ahmad's army definitely uses mules for the transportation of its forces, or you may call those donkeys. It's just crazy, same excuses again and again. Even Russian military bloggers are laughing about this stuff. And the Institute for the Study of War confirms that Ukraine broke through the Russian defense in the region of Suja and took at least 2 of the villages, they say, but according to my information, those are 3 villages. Yeah, the villages are not that huge, those are not big cities, it's not Moscow, it's not Kursk. By the way, Abtilodinov also said, no worries, Ukrainian army is not going to Moscow. Yeah, for now not, but with that Russian defense everything is possible. So Ukrainian army used the time for reorganization of the Russian defense in the area. By the way, Russian army withdrew the North Korean forces from the northwestern part, but still it influences the entire region. Roughly 2 months ago, Russia tried actually to go to Suja. They had some sort of the unsuccessful attack. Russian mill bloggers even reported they've took Makhnovka under control. This settlement is very close to Suja, but Ukraine was capable to repel the Russian army and moreover take more ground, and for today it's like that, so something like that. The battlefield and the front line is very active now, so it's hard to say where exactly Ukrainian forces are located, but it's been confirmed that 3 villages were taken by Ukraine? Well, at first the attack wasn't expected for Russians because Ukraine didn't use the roads. Ukraine went straight through the fields and kind of the difficult terrain because here are multiple of the hills, some tree lines, water obstacles, but what helped Ukraine to advance fast is the temperature. It was -7 degrees centigrade. It was like that roughly 2 days, so it allowed the dirt to become sturdy. So Ukrainian vehicles could advance not using the roads. We see how the weather also plays a great role in planning of any sort of the operations, whether it's defense or attack. But later on, Russians called for backup. The airstrikes were conducted on some of the tree lines in the sector. I wonder if Ukrainians were hit by the time. But what I know that for sure, many of the Ukrainian vehicles were stopped by the FPV drones. Here you can see some of the vehicles were stopped. Definitely it's the fresh image. But whether those are Ukrainian vehicles or it's the Russian wreckage from the previous attack of their midwaves, it's hard to say, but I have some other images which are confirming that definitely Ukraine has losses or had losses yesterday at least. I cannot share those images here on my channel, but probably I'll share those on my Telegram and Rumble. To attack Ukrainian vehicles, Russians mostly use FPV drones, as by the way Ukrainian side too. But even if Ukraine attacks, Russians still have more losses. It is a special feature of their army. So guys, the next advancement of the Ukrainian army in Kursk will depend also on the weather conditions and the resources that the Ukrainian army has. I guess that Ukraine tries to create some sort of the buffer area around Sudzha, because Ukraine understands that the goal for Russia is to get the settlement finally under control, but Russia is still not capable to do it more than half a year after the Kursk operation has been started, and still Russians could be caught by surprise. At least with this short operation, for the few hours Russians were running away. And only with the help of the airstrikes and some drones, Russians were capable for now to slow down Ukrainian advancement. But this night I expect the phase 2 of the Ukrainian attack. Kind of the strange article from the Telegraph, they say also about the Kursk region here, and that Russia will be forced to exchange thousands of the square kilometers of the occupied territories in Ukraine for the Kursk Oblast. I think it's not possible. I think that this article is absolute nonsense. Russia will not give up the lands which they occupied. There will be no such exchange of the territories. You see, Russians are okay with part of the Kursk being occupied, so the Russian government. The Russian society is very divided. Those who live in Moscow, they don't care of what is happening behind their city walls. Yeah, the Kursk operation is actually terrible for Russia, but not such a critical one to exchange occupied territories of Ukraine. The goal of Putin is to occupy Ukraine, so he may stay okay with the part of the Kursk region to be under Ukrainian control, if that situation allows him to move further and further in Donbass, for example. So I don't agree with this author of the article. Michael73 Analytic also gives his update of this military map, and he confirms the same advancement as I showed you at the very beginning. So Ukrainian army may even create some of the threat for the Russian group in this particular region. Russians could be jammed between the attacking Ukrainian forces and the Ukrainian border. So yeah, the situation for Russia in the Kursk region is far to be ideal. Maybe it would be also interesting for Ukraine to go from the southern side crossing the border, but we'll see. Because here is the river and it will be really hard to cross it from a single side. And according to the latest images from the front lines, Ukrainian convoy is advancing towards Ulanek settlement in the Kursk region. The Ulanek village, or a small town, is located over here, and the convoy was spotted in this direction. They went through the field road. So clearly they are moving towards Ulanek. Probably one more settlement which could be taken by Ukraine very soon. And as you can see, there is no huge resistance, at least by the time the video was filmed. There were no strikes on this convoy. Absolutely great news from France. Ukraine has received Mirage 2000 jets. Awesome. It's a very, very capable machine, and the training was done quite fast for Ukrainian pilots in France. So how many of the airplane units Ukraine has just received? Well, I don't have that information. Unfortunately, it's not shared, but before we were speaking about roughly 10 airplanes, I mean for the total deal. Also, Netherlands supported Ukraine with more of the F-16 fighter jets, so total Ukraine may now have 40 of the Western-made fighter jets. But still, it's very far to reach the air superiority over Russian Air Force. Nevertheless, those news are very important, and aviation plays a great role in this or any other war. And if Ukraine gets enough airplanes, it may operate those on the front lines. For now, it's not possible. And you know, guys, I really like the approach from the French side, delivering those Mirage 2000s to Ukraine. Yes, there was the information published in press, but there was no drama like with F-16s. All of the terms were followed properly, and Ukraine received the airplanes at the beginning of 2025, as it was planned before. But with the F-16 case, everyone wanted to say something, you know, all of the terms were postponed, the training was done in this way, in other way. Some of the countries are still waiting for the replacement of their fighter jets for F-35s, like by the way Poland and Denmark. Yeah, Ukraine already got F-16s from Denmark, but Denmark say that they need to wait a little to replace their fighter jets with F-35s. The same Poland said for their MiGs. Yeah, probably no, Denmark needs fighter jets after all. But with France, everything was done very smoothly without extra drama. Santa Barbara, I call it. Just awesome. That is how it should be done. There was quite an interesting information published by the Forbes yesterday. At first they say that Russia launched their Oreshnik missile towards Kiev, and on the way missile crashed on the territory of the Russian Federation. And today they say that it was false. It is basically fake. Unfortunately, many of the channels, including me, reposted the news on their sources. I posted that on Telegram, and today I posted this one that the news are fake. Yeah, sometimes it might happen, especially then you cannot cross-check the information. So it's fake and it's good. I don't like Russia sending their missiles on Ukraine, so it's good that they didn't launch their Oreshnik. By the way, where is Putin with his Oreshnik? He was speaking about it for a few months, but now it's total silence about this missile. Alright, so what's about the peace deal in Ukraine? Peskov said that there was no substantive proposals from the United States regarding Ukraine's peace settlement. And it's a total opposite signal compared to what we heard from the Trump side. Trump said that communication is good, everything is great, we are on the way to achieve peace in Ukraine, but at the same time Kremlin says no. Moreover, Peskov added that there is no any negotiations or a concept on the future meeting between Donald Trump and Putin. And if there is such a meeting, this picture is the old one taken from 2017, I guess. Well, anyways, if that meeting happens now, it's the victory for Putin. And actually, in some way, a political defeat for the United States of America. Why? Well, basically, United States would recognize that their policy towards Ukraine was a big failure before, that they've decided to cancel Putin and arm Ukraine. It will just show that this policy is not working and the United States failed with its policy. So it's the failure of the United States in this particular case, and Putin would look like a winner. Moreover, from what Peskov says, Donald Trump should request the meeting with Vladimir Putin. For Russia, they want to show that it's not the Putin's proposal to meet with the United States president, but it's the United States president who is begging for this meeting. But actually, it's not like that. Donald Trump flown very high. For him, Putin is nothing. Especially we understand that Donald Trump starts to say about the weakness of the Russian economy and the Russian army. It means the weakness of the Russian regime and Vladimir Putin compared to the United States. So how would this almost god request the meeting from the guy who failed with his country and special military operation? But nevertheless, this meeting could happen, and as I say to you, it will be a failure for the United States. Not a dramatic one, but it will be. And for Ukraine as well, by the way. It will show to the world that dictators and the war criminals are okay with bombing other countries, eliminating many of the civilians, infrastructure, and they're still accepted by highest politicians out there. And what's about the ICC? It's the International Criminal Court, which by the way introduced the warrant on Putin, but it also does the similar stuff towards the military and political management of Israel. And mainly because of that, Donald Trump introduces sanctions against the International Criminal Court. And it shows, guys, that the war has already changed. It will never be the same, probably even the same safe as it was before. before, and probably the democracy of the United States is fading away. Well, in a way it was like that even before, but now it's like a red flag. Yes, we may not like the International Criminal Court, but it is there, you know? It is recognized by many of the countries, and now, like, if you have a power, economy power, military power, you can say, we like this decision of the International Criminal Court, but we don't like that decision, and apply sanctions. Kind of strange as for me. So is Milosevic process is legal or not after all? Should we say what is valid or not valid, if it is just the interest of the United States or if it is a justice? So by applying the sanctions on the International Criminal Court, by saying that it's not valid, we're gonna exit it, it basically devalues the meaning of this international court. So it means that the warrant for Putin was nothing, even a paper it was written on. So with this, Putin is free to go elsewhere. You understand that the International Criminal Court is not the ideal organization, but to apply sanctions or something on this institution just because you like one decision but you don't like the other one, for me it's strange. The world is coming down to what it was a century ago. Then if you have force, if you have army, you can propel your own will with threats, blackmails, tariffs, or military actions as Putin does in Ukraine. By the way, we have a new imperialistic style post from Donald Trump. The Gaza Strip would be turned over to the United States by Israel at the conclusion of fighting. So now he used the term to turn over, which basically means occupation. Before he mentioned the term ownership, and before even take over, so not turn over but take over. The Palestinian people, he said, like Chuck Schumer, I don't know why he put it, would have already been resettled in far safer and more beautiful communities with their new modern homes in the region. In what region? In Gaza Strip or region of Middle East? Just to remind you, he wants to extract Palestinians from Gaza Strip. They would actually have a chance to be happy, safe and free. The United States, working with great development teams from all over the world, would slowly and carefully begin the construction of what would become one of the greatest and common spectacular developments in its kind on Earth. No soldiers by the United States would be needed. Stability of the region would reign. Yeah. I know, maybe Donald Trump likes ayahuasca or mushrooms because his statements have nothing to do with reality, let's say. And it's not about Gaza only, it's about Denmark, about Canada, about Panama. But Donald feels like a tough boy able to provide his will elsewhere, even in Gaza. Guys, just for you to understand, I freaking hate Hamas with all of my heart. But what Donald Trump says about the possible occupation of Gaza, ownership, displacing people, and he continued to say it after this huge scandal appeared in media elsewhere. Well, what he says is just crazy. I don't have like logical explanation to his words, to his policy in general towards the United States. What he does is he makes America weaker. Make America great again is not the slogan which Donald Trump should have chosen for his campaign. Trump again says about USA ID and billions of dollars that have been stolen there. Moreover, Elon Musk started to spread the fakes that some of the celebrities were paid to go to Ukraine for the visit, and all of the funds were transferred by USAID, but it already was busted as the pure fake. But Elon Musk just spreads that lies and propaganda. Elon Musk lies left and right. Donald Trump too. So alright, if you have the problem with USAID, with corruption there, try to resolve this issue, reform the system. But if you cancel it, like USAID is the big humanitarian project worldwide. It is so-called soft force which profits the United States. United States has its own interest elsewhere, so USAID is the huge chance to first of all help people, secondary to fight against dictators, because USAID financed lots of the opposition in Belarus, Russia, also Ukrainian media. In a way, it helped Ukraine to get rid of Yanukovych, pro-Russian president, who would sell his mother for Russia if it was profitable. And yes, like in every system, like in government of the United States, there is corruption. Fight with it, reform. But Trump decided to close this stuff entirely, like it will not go. And its bullshit about Politica seems to have received $8 million. It already was debunked. It's the total fake that was spread by the President of the United States. Fuck. So what happens then USA ID is no-go? It is no-go already. Well, China will take over, they will expand their influence worldwide using their funds, and they don't care. Did you know that China has the official fund spending in their budget for each year to bribe the governments in the other countries? And they are really strong with their soft power, especially nowadays in Africa, and also could be in Latin America as well. So I do not exclude that China will have a major, like #1 influence in the world if the policy of Donald Trump like this continues. Some people or bots write to me that, Dennis, you don't like the United States of America, you hate America. No, I don't like Donald Trump, that's it. Actually, I like America, it's one of the best countries out there, and my dream at the time was to live in the United States of America. But now, with what is happening with that country, I don't think so. For me, honestly, it's like a nightmare. And Donald is calling even back to plastic. Plastic is actually kind of the big problem. You can really see how it may harm in nature, and here, greatest president ever calls back to plastic. And it's not just about paper straws or something, it's about back to plastic. I mean, fully back. They just want to exaggerate that they're speaking just about paper straws, but no. Especially for the ocean, it's critical. And what the hell is this? I love real Donald Trump as much as straight man can love another man. Ooh. Sorry. Oh my god, it's so charming, you know. Fuck, what is happening? What is happening there? It's the circus of politician circus in the United States. So with this guy not even being a politician but promoting total fakes on his platform, it's crazy. This is shame to not just the United States but to the world politics. And I don't care whether you support this guy or this guy, I don't fucking care. I say what I think based on the facts. And if you don't like the content which I provide here relative to your favorite president or something, dislike, unsubscribe. You're free to choose what to watch. I'm not chasing views or something, no. Everything is enough for me. I know that there are adequate people on my channel, and we have majority of those. This is the illustration of the modern day United States politics. You may check it out. Two of the buffoons spreading the Russian propaganda and one fool who is listening to them and has no idea of how the politics is really done. It's not funny actually, it's very sad what is happening in the world. I hope that it remains stable, but the chances for stability are fading away. So guys, I'm gonna keep you updated on situation in Ukraine, and not only. For now, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.